If you think inflation is just prices going up, you've been lied to your entire life. And the people who print your money, they're counting on you staying confused. Imagine waking up one day and your coffee costs $10, your rent doubles, your salary still the same. You didn't get poorer on paper, but somehow you can't afford anything anymore. Welcome to inflation, the silent tax nobody voted for. Even the people who control it don't fully understand it, which is terrifying because they're literally printing your money. Here's what they teach you in school. Inflation happens when there's too much money chasing too few goods. Supply and demand. Simple, right? And the government says they're trying to keep it around 2% per year. That's the healthy number. Keeps the economy moving, they say. But here's the problem. That's only half the story. And the half they leave out, that's where things get really uncomfortable. Because inflation isn't just an accident of economics. Sometimes it's a choice. Let me explain inflation like you're actually 5 years old. Imagine you and your friends are trading Halloween candy. You've got 10 pieces, your friend has 10 pieces. A chocolate bar is worth 1 lollipop. Fair trade. Now imagine your friend's mom gives them 50 more pieces of candy. Suddenly, they have 60 pieces and you still have 10. What happens? Your friend doesn't value candy the same way anymore. Now they want 3 lollipops for 1 chocolate bar. Why? Because they have so much candy, each piece means less to them. That's inflation. When there's more money in the system, each dollar becomes worth less. But here's the dirty secret. Governments create this on purpose. They print money, not literally printing all the time, but creating it digitally. And when they do, your money loses value. It's like someone else got invited to the candy trade and you didn't get any extra candy. And it gets worse, because this isn't an accident in the system, it's a feature. Here's what actually happens when inflation kicks in. Stage 1. The government needs money for something. Wars, stimulus checks, bailouts, whatever. But they don't want to raise taxes because that makes people angry. Stage 2. So they print money instead. New money floods into the economy. Stage 3. But you don't get that money first. Banks do, corporations do, the wealthy do. They buy assets before prices go up. Then the money trickles down to regular people. But by the time it reaches you, prices have already started climbing. You're now paying more for everything, but your salary hasn't caught up yet. It's a hidden transfer of wealth. The people closest to the money printer win. Everyone else loses. Some economists call this the Cantillon effect. I call it financial pickpocketing in slow motion. This is the moment most people realize they've been played. You work harder, you save money, you do everything right, but your savings account loses 3, 5, sometimes 10% of its value every single year, not because you spent it, but because someone else printed more money. Your purchasing power evaporates like water on a hot sidewalk, and there's nothing you can do to stop it unless you understand the game. But here's the part they really don't want you to know. Inflation doesn't hurt everyone equally, not even close. If you're rich and own assets, real estate, stocks, businesses, inflation actually helps you. Your assets increase in price faster than the dollar loses value. You get wealthier while doing nothing. If you're middle class or poor and you keep your money in cash or a savings account, you get destroyed. Your money loses value while everything else costs more. This is why the wealth gap keeps growing. It's not just about wages or taxes, it's about who benefits from money creation. The system is designed to reward people who already have assets and punish people who are trying to save their way up. It's like playing Monopoly, except one player starts with hotels on Broadwalk and you start with a $5 bill that shrinks every turn. Now, governments will tell you inflation is necessary. They'll say it encourages spending, prevents deflation, keeps the economy healthy. And sure, some inflation is normal, but here's what they don't say. Inflation is also the easiest way for governments to erase their debt. Think about it. If the government owes $1 trillion today and they print a bunch of money that causes 10% inflation, that debt becomes easier to pay back because the dollars are worth less. They borrowed expensive dollars. They're paying back cheap dollars. It's legal counterfeiting, and you are the one paying for it through higher prices. Inflation is a hidden tax that doesn't require a vote, doesn't show up on your paycheck, and most people don't even realize it's happening until their rent doubles and they can't figure out
out why. So what do you do about it? Option 1, keep cash and lose 3 to 10% per year. Bad idea. Option 2, invest in assets that historically beat inflation. Stocks, real estate, commodities, even Bitcoin, anything that can't be printed. Option 3, increase your income faster than inflation. Easier said than done, but it's the only way to stay ahead if you're starting from zero. The brutal truth, saving money in a bank account is a losing strategy in an inflationary world. The system punishes savers and rewards risk takers. That's not financial advice, that's just reality. If you want to protect yourself, you have to think like the people close to the money printer. Buy things that hold value when currency loses it. Want proof this can go catastrophically wrong? Germany, 1923. The government printed so much money to pay war debts that people needed wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy bread. A loaf of bread that cost 250 marks in January 1923 cost 200 billion marks by November. People burned money in fireplaces because it was cheaper than buying firewood. Zimbabwe, 2008. Inflation hit 89.7 sextillion%. They printed a $100 trillion bill. It couldn't buy a bus ticket. Venezuela, 2016 to 2020. Doctors and teachers abandoned their jobs to mine digital currency because their salaries became worthless overnight. These aren't ancient history lessons. This is what happens when governments lose control of the money printer. And every single time, the same people get hurt. The ones who trusted the system and kept their wealth in cash. Here's the part that'll make some people mad. Inflation isn't always an accident. Sometimes it's a deliberate policy choice. When COVID hit, governments worldwide printed trillions. Stimulus checks, corporate bailouts, emergency spending, and guess what happened? Inflation exploded. Now, some of that was necessary to prevent a total collapse, but a lot of it, that money went to people who didn't need it, corporations that bought back their own stock, and programs that didn't help the people suffering most. And now, you are paying for it. Every time you go to the grocery store, the bill for government spending always comes due. They just send it to you in the form of higher prices. It's genius, really, because most people never connect the dots. Let me make this personal. Right now, wherever you live, your rent is probably higher than it was 5 years ago. Your groceries cost more, gas costs more, everything costs more. But your paycheck probably hasn't doubled. That gap between what things cost and what you earn, that's inflation eating your future. Every year you don't invest, don't learn about money, don't protect yourself from inflation, you're getting poorer in real terms. Not because you're bad with money, but because the system is designed this way. Your parents could buy a house on a single income. You need 2 incomes and still can't afford one. That's not because houses got better, it's because money got weaker. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's monetary policy, and it's happening to you right now. Here's the ultimate truth about inflation. Money is just a story we all agree to believe. We agree that this piece of paper or this number in a bank account has value. But the moment someone prints more of it, that story gets weaker. Inflation is what happens when the people writing the story decide their priorities matter more than your savings. And the scariest part? Most people go their entire lives without understanding this. They work hard, save money, follow the rules, and still end up struggling. Not because they failed, but because the system was never taught how the game actually works. Finance isn't just numbers on a screen. It's power. It's who gets to decide what your time is worth. And inflation? Inflation is the tool used to transfer that power quietly, invisibly, from your pocket to someone else's. So here's what I want you to remember. Inflation isn't just prices going up. It's a hidden redistribution of wealth. It rewards people who own assets and punishes people who hold cash. It's the government's way of paying its bills without asking permission, and it will continue happening for the rest of your life. The only question is, are you going to understand the game and position yourself accordingly, or are you going to keep wondering why everything feels more expensive, even though you're working harder than ever? Because I promise you, the people printing the money already know the answer. Maybe it's time you did too. And if you think inflation is bad, wait until you hear what happens when governments try to stop it. That story is even messier, but that's for next time.